Space was silent. Between the stars, there was nothing but cold darkness. No sound, no wind, just a black sea stretching forever. But then, something moved. A small wave of invisible energy passed through the void, traveling faster than light. It wasn't random. It was a signal, a cry for help. The message was weak, old, broken, full of static. But inside that noise was one clear word, repeated again and again in dozens of alien languages. Help, help, help us. The signal came from Calvix 9, a distant planet near the edge of the galaxy. Once, it had been a peaceful world, a green planet, full of rivers, cities, and families. Now, it was fire and dust. An unknown enemy had arrived 2 months ago, falling from the stars without warning. These enemies didn't speak. They didn't ask for surrender. They came like a storm and began wiping out everything: cities, machines, even thoughts. They were called the Ashburn. Nobody knew where they came from. They didn't leave survivors. When they destroyed something, it was like it had never existed. Even the Galactic Council didn't understand how they worked. Their ships looked like shadows tied to metal bones. Their weapons didn't shoot beams or missiles. They turned air into black fire, time into dust. Calvx-9 had begged the Council for aid. The Council had watched from afar. They listened to the recordings. They studied the images. And then they did what they always did when they were afraid. Nothing that called the problem contained. They said sending fleets would risk other systems. They told the Calvix people, evacuate if possible. But there was no way to leave. The Ashburn had surrounded the planet. So, in a last attempt, Calvix 9 sent one more signal out into the unknown, past known star charts. A blind scream across the universe. They didn't know it, but someone heard it. On the dark side of Earth's moon, hidden beneath miles of rock and metal, an ancient satellite blinked. Its name was Relay 7, a forgotten piece of technology from the old Human Federation. It had been sleeping for over 300 years. Until now. The signal touched its senses. Its systems woke up slowly, like an old warrior stretching after a long sleep. Relay 7 didn't ask permission. It followed old orders. Emergency Protocol 76A. If any life form broadcasts a universal distress call within 1,000 light-years, forward the message to Earth Core Command. Earth Core Command didn't exist anymore, not like it used to, but the relay still sent the signal. It passed through hidden channels, through underground fiber buried in ice, through satellites that weren't even listed in public maps. And deep below the surface of Earth, in a chamber no one had entered in 100 years, a light turned red. In a mountain bunker buried under Antarctica, 2 people were on night watch. A young woman named Mirrorboard, sipping her cold coffee, and an old man named Juno, who'd served in 4 different wars and trusted nothing with blinking lights. When the red alert lit up the wall, Myra almost dropped her cup. "What is that?" she asked. Juno stood up slowly. "Something woke up." Mira checked the terminal. "It's from Relay 7. That thing still works." Juno didn't answer. He typed in a manual code, one from the old Earth defense days. The screen changed. It showed a single word, in the Calvex language, but translated automatically: "help." Then coordinates. Then a data package full of terror images of burning cities, people screaming, the sky falling into itself, the Ashburn. Mira stared at the screen. "This isn't our problem, right?" Juno didn't blink. "It is now." At the top of the planet, Earth's old defense network began to activate. Silent sirens rang beneath the oceans. Satellites adjusted their positions. Something under the Pacific shifted. People didn't see it. Governments didn't announce it. But Earth was waking up. One name appeared on thousands of classified screens. Project Starbreaker status. Locked commander code. Ariqui far away, on a lonely space station orbiting Jupiter. Commander Vale was meditating. She had been out of the military for years. Her skin was marked with old scars. Her mind was sharp, trained, but tired. She had lived through the collapse of the Human Federation, the rise of the Galactic Council, and the long peace that followed. But she had never trusted peace. Her wrist implant buzzed, a signal, locked and encrypted. She opened it. Her eyes widened as she saw the message. It was from Earth Command, the real one, the one no longer shown on public records. The voice was old, recorded from someone long dead. "Commander Vale, this is not a drill. Project Starbreaker is now authorized. Proceed to Lunar Hangar 7. Use code Black Nova. The stars are under threat. Earth must not sleep." She stood up, slow but calm. Peace was over. By the time Commander Vale's shuttle reached the moon, Earth's hidden systems were already preparing for launch. In a crater hidden from telescopes, a massive door began to open, old and rusty, but still alive. Dust rose. Machines moved. Lights flickered after centuries of silence. There, deep inside, the moon itself, was Starbreaker, a ship, but not just a ship, a weapon so powerful it was built not to defend, but to destroy entire star systems if needed. It had no crew, no passengers, only one seat for one human. Commander Vale. The ship didn't welcome her. It tested her. As she stepped inside, scanners buzzed. Her blood was sampled. Her memories were read. The ship asked questions, personal ones, painful ones. Do you remember Earthful? It asked. Yes, she said. I lost my brother. Do you remember the Treaty of Silence? Yes, she replied. I helped write it. Do you accept that this mission may end all treaties? She paused. Then she whispered, yes. The ship hummed. Its black metal glowed blue. Engines spun to life, not with normal power, but with the energy of something old, something hidden in a bottle at its core, a dying star. Humanity had once captured a collapsing sun and turned it into a power source. Everyone said the project had failed, but they were wrong. The star was still alive, chained, screaming, and hungry, and now, it had a purpose. Kelvix 9 didn't know what was coming. The Ashburn had broken through their last city, Shield. Families huddled underground. Their leaders had given up hope. The skies above them were black, filled with floating creatures that looked like twisted machines and dead gods. Then, for the first time in weeks, something new entered orbit. Not an escape ship, not an escape ship, not a message, a single human warship. The Ashburn turned. They sensed the power. They reached for it, and then, the sky lit up white. Above the planet, a ripple passed through space. No missile fired, no weapon was visible, but a wave of heat and light expanded like a silent scream. One of the Ashburn's fleet's 8 ships made of shadow and bong just vanished. Not exploded, erased, like they had never been there. The people of Kelvix 9 stared up in awe. The Ashburn hesitated for the first time, and the galaxy from silent satellites and secret feeds held its breath. Earth had answered the call, and what they sent had shattered the stars. The stars were quiet again. After the flash above Kelvix 9, the Ashburn pulled back, not far, just enough to regroup. They weren't used to losing. Their ships were built to erase civilizations. But now, 8 of them were simply gone. No wreckage, no remains, no trace. The Kelvix people stared at the sky, unsure if they had been saved or if something even worse had arrived. The humans hadn't sent a fleet, just one ship. One massive, silent, black warship that floated in orbit like a ghost from a forgotten age. Its name blinked in strange blue letters across its hull. Starbreaker. Far inside the ship, Commander Vale stood alone on the command deck. The room was dark, except for one glowing interface. It wasn't made of buttons or screens. It responded to her thoughts. The ship didn't need a crew. It didn't need weapon storage. It was the weapon. She looked out the massive window at Kelvix 9. The planet was scorched and cracked, its atmosphere thin from damage. The people below had sent a call for help. Earth had answered. But now the real question began. Was help enough? Back on Earth, deep underground, several secret chambers lit up places even the modern Earth governments didn't know existed. One chamber held the first archive. Inside that chamber was an old AI, one of the first ever made. It was slow, ancient, but wise. It began sorting through humanity's lost war files. History no longer taught in schools. Wars not written in any book. Civilizations erased by old enemies, some that even the Ashburn feared, and one warning appeared in red. If Project Starbreaker is active, planetary security code must be updated. Class Red. Earth is no longer at peace. The Galactic Council met again. This time, the mood was different. Angry, confused, afraid. Representatives from over 40 alien species stared at the hologram of the Starbreaker. It's not possible, one ambassador said. That ship is from the core collapse era. Humanity swore it was decommissioned. A robotic voice answered calmly. It was not decommissioned. It was hidden, but why reveal it now? Another asked. Why answer a random signal? Silence. Then a third voice spoke up, one of the oldest council members, a soft-spoken alien named Thavax who had lived through 3-star empires. Thavax said, humans don't forget promises, even ones the rest of us pretend never happened. Back on the ship, Commander Vale reviewed the Ashburn data. What little existed, the Kelvix survivors had sent recordings. The black fleets, the attacks, the vanishing cities. She scanned each file. The Ashburn weren't just killing, they were eating not bodies but memory, culture, time. Entire buildings disappeared, and later, even their names vanished from the minds of witnesses. She whispered to herself, "They're not just destroying worlds, they're making it like those worlds never existed." The Starbreaker pulsed around her. It understood this wasn't a war, this was unmaking. Suddenly, a screen lit up with a new alert. The Ashburn were moving again, 5 fleets, each coming from a different side of the planet. Not toward Calvix, but toward the Starbreaker. They had scanned the ship. They wanted to test it or end it. Commander Vale smiled coldly. "Let's show them what humanity really built." The ship didn't use normal weapons. It didn't fire missiles or beams. Instead, it reshaped the battlefield. As the first Ashburn fleet approached, the Starbreaker opened a tear in space. A soft light pulsed from its core. The Ashburn ships fired, but their attacks passed through the human ship like it wasn't there. Then the tear expanded and reality around the Ashburn bent. One by one, their ships began sinking into light, disappearing like stones falling through water. No fire, no noise. Just gone. From the ground, the Calvix people watched with wide eyes. One young girl, hiding in the rubble, asked her mother, "Is it a god?" Her mother, bleeding from her leg, shook her head. "No, gods ask for worship. That thing doesn't care if we pray, then what is it?" The mother didn't answer. She just stared at the sky, back on Earth. Commander Vale's actions were being watched. A hidden base under Greenland came online, broadcasting to a small group of old soldiers and scientists. They had once belonged to the Silent Network, Earth's most secret defense group. Now, after 300 years of peace, they were being reactivated. They knew what Starbreaker meant, they knew what the Ashburn were, and they had a decision to make. Should Earth stay hidden or lead again? Meanwhile, the Ashburn Queen felt something she had never known before. Pain. From her throne made of collapsed black stars, she screamed across space. Her creatures responded. Not just ships now. Drones. SHAPESHIFIF. Memory-eaters. Memory-eaters. They didn't just want Calvix anymore. They wanted Earth. Inside the Starbreaker, alarms flared. A second group of Ashburn ships had bypassed human sensors. They were using folded space, slipping between seconds, to attack from the side. Commander Vale turned to the ship. "Can we intercept?" The ship responded with a sound like wind and metal grinding. "Yes, but the cost is high." "Do it." The Starbreaker vanished. One moment it was above Calvex, the next it reappeared in deep space, in the path of the hidden Ashburn fleet. But it was not alone. Behind it, a second shape shimmered into view. Smaller, sleeker. Another ship. No, a fragment of the Starbreaker. It had split itself into 2. The fragment exploded, taking 3 Ashburn ships with it back in real space. The remaining Ashburn ships pulled away. This wasn't how they fought. They erased things, not fought them. And now, the humans were erasing them. On Calvix 9, life slowly returned to the underground cities. The survivors weren't cheering yet. They didn't understand what had saved them, but they felt something different now. A presence in the sky, like the planet, wasn't alone anymore. Commander Vale looked at the data reports. Still too many Ashburn ships remained, and something else disturbed her. A signal, coming from the edge of Earth's solar system. Another Ashburn fleet. No, something stranger, something that looked human, but it wasn't from Earth. She leaned forward, narrowing her eyes. "Who the hell are you?" In the council chamber of the galaxy, species argued over humanity's actions. Some wanted to ban humans from further interference. Others wanted to invite them back into the leadership ranks. And a few quietly just wanted to stay out of their way. Because deep down, everyone remembered one thing. Humans had stopped fighting, but they had never disarmed. As the Starbreaker returned to Calvex 9, Commander Vale received a final message from Earth. Command, short, cold, direct. Ashburn, attack on Earth, expected in 9 days. Project Eclipse, standing by. Good luck, Commander. She looked at the planet below. Then at the black space above. And she whispered to herself, "Time to remind the stars who we are." For the first time in weeks, the sky above Calvix 9 was quiet. The black clouds left behind by Ashburn ships had faded. No more screams echoed through the burned cities. No more fire fell from above. The people hiding underground dared to hope, but they didn't know what was coming next. The Starbreaker slowly descended into orbit. Its hull glowed like starlight trapped in metal. Massive engines hummed softly, not from fuel but from a caged star beating like a heart deep inside the ship. Commander Vale stood on the bridge, her hands behind her back. She had been in orbit for only hours, but the ship had already erased 2 Ashburn fleets. Still, she didn't feel victory, not yet. She opened a channel to Calvix's ground command. A flickering screen showed the image of a scared alien woman, Governor Riali, leader of what was left of Calvix's government. Her face was pale, her voice cracked. Human commander, you destroyed their fleet. How? Vale didn't smile. Was something we were never supposed to use. Riali looked confused. You came. For us, we didn't expect a response.
No
one ever does, Vale replied. But Earth remembers debts. And promises. There was silence. Then Riali said softly, the Ashburn, they aren't done. I know, Vale said, and neither are we. The Starbreaker scanned the surface. KALVX-9 was dying. Forests had turned black. Oceans were boiling. The largest cities were now nothing but smooth craters. But beneath the surface, hidden bunkers still held survivors, millions of them. Too weak to fight, too late to run. Vale knew she couldn't evacuate them all. The Starbreaker wasn't a rescue ship. It wasn't built for mercy. It was a blade, but it could protect. For a while she activated the planetary shield grid, a secret backup system hidden by the Calvix during their golden years. The Starbreaker recharged the grid in seconds, lighting up the planet's surface with shimmering walls of blue dot as the shield formed. Survivors came out of the bunkers for the first time. They saw the sky glowing. They saw a single ship hovering, like a guardian angel. And they cheered, but far across space. The Ashburn Queen did not cheer. In her throne built from collapsed time. She watched her dead fleets. She had never been touched before, and now she had been wounded. That was not allowed. The Ashburn Queen spread her arms and screamed. Reality cracked, and a new kind of ship began forming from the dust of dead stars. Back on Calvix 9, the Starbreaker scanned the system. The Ashburn weren't sending normal fleets anymore. They were adapting. Vale saw it instantly. These aren't warships, she muttered, staring at the data. They're harvesters. The scans showed massive, pulsing ships the size of moons. They weren't armed with weapons but with dimensional claws, able to tear reality open and steal entire pieces of planets. They're not coming to fight, Vale said, her voice low. They're coming to take Calvix. She opened the ship's command panel. Starbreaker, she said. Show me the second protocol. A glowing symbol appeared when the galaxy had banned 300 years ago. Protocol. Echo. Strategic planetary remake. This was not defense. This was destruction. She hovered her hand over the command. If she activated it, Calvex's surface would be remade into a trap, a living bomb, a cage of gravity and folded space. Anyone landing would be crushed or lost forever. Governor Riali called again. You can't destroy the planet to save it, she pleaded. I'm not, Vale said. I'm turning it into a weapon. Then the Starbreaker's alarms blared. Had entered orbit, but not from outside. From inside. A ripple of black energy burst out from Calvex's southern continent. A wormhole opened beneath an old crater and something huge climbed out. Ashburn tech. A seed left long ago. A trap. The enemy hadn't just attacked from space. They had planted machines beneath the surface waiting for a signal. Now one of them was rising, a tower of twisting black metal, glowing red from within. It reached upward like a finger pointing to the sky. Commander Vale recognized it instantly. That's a beacon. She turned to the Starbreaker's core. If that beacon finishes, more will come, not just fleets, queens, kings, monsters. She launched a strike. Not with missiles, with gravity. The Starbreaker tilted. A pulse burst from its engines. The very weight of space shifted, aimed directly at the beacon. The Calvix watched in awe as the sky twisted like water. A ring of invisible force crushed down. The beacon cracked, then exploded like a black sun. Vale didn't celebrate. More signals were activating beneath the surface. Across the mountains, inside, the oceans, too many to count. The Ashburn had left seeds across Calvix. The planet wasn't a battlefield anymore, was a nest. Governor Riali stood in her underground control room watching the readouts. She turned to her staff. Contact the human commander. Ask her what we do now. But the answer came before they even called. A message from Vale, prepared to move all civilians into the shielded zone near the northern pole. You have 6 hours. I'll hold the skies. In orbit, the Ashburn were coming again, but this time they weren't ships. They were organisms, bioentities riding dark energy. Some looked like winged serpents made of smoke, others like jellyfish a mile wide. All of them aimed at KALVX-9. The Starbreaker hovered. Silent. It opened its lower bay. And dropped something small, a glowing sphere. As it fell, it unfolded into a netto web of light that spread like roots. It touched the planet's atmosphere. Then it sang. The sound echoed across the world. It wasn't music, it was a frequency, one tuned to Ashburn code. As the bioships reached the edge of the planet, they began to twist and scream. They couldn't enter, not without tearing themselves apart. For now, Calvex was safe. But only for now. Vale stood in the dark bridge and whispered, "This planet won't survive a second wave." The Starbreaker responded, "Then bring the storm." She looked up at the distant stars. Earth was still days away from being attacked, and she needed Calvex to stand until then. In the ashes of the south, survivors found old Ashburn tech. Black stone-like machines, buried deep still active. Calvex engineers worked quickly, connecting their scanners, and what they found shocked them. The Ashburn hadn't just planted weapons, they had planted memories. Images of Earth, of humans, of wars, long forgotten. Governor Reali whispered, They knew this would bring humans. The Ashburn Queen felt it too. She screamed again across the black between stars. But her scream was no longer rage, now it was fear, because something was waking, not on Calvex, not on Earth, but beneath Jupiter's moon. IOA, second human ship. Buried. Silent. And now, pulsing. News spread like wildfire through space. Across the outer colonies, through the wormhole lanes, on council worlds and pirate stations, everyone saw it. Not a rumor. Not a legend, but clear footage recorded from Calvex satellites, a single human ship, destroying entire Ashburn fleets. Without firing a shot. On the core world of Trivawan, where council meetings were held, the Chamber of Species sat in silence. Dozens of alien ambassadors stood around a glowing map of KALVX-9. A screen showed the Starbreaker hovering alone above the burning planet. "Is that truly human technology?" whispered the Sarthon speaker, a tall reptilian diplomat. "Yes," said an old being made of crystal. "I served during the human quiet era. That ship matches no known design. It's older, deeper." The room was tense. Everyone knew what that meant. Humanity had lied. 300 years ago, when humanity joined the Galactic Council, they had promised to disarm. Their great fleets were mothballed. Their dangerous weapons were dismantled. Their black ops programs were sealed. Or so everyone believed. But now, the truth floated in orbit above KALVX-9. A warship that should not exist. The screen changed. A recording from Calvex's surface played the moment when the Ashburn beacon erupted from the ground and was instantly crushed by a gravity weapon. Chamber gasped. The Sarthan speaker stepped forward. "This is illegal technology. That ship violates 10 council treaties." A smaller delegate, a soft-voiced creature from the archives, spoke up. "Yes, but it also saved Calvex. It destroyed the Ashburn without damaging civilians." Another ambassador shouted, "You're saying we should allow humans to bring Starbreakers into the galaxy again?" Silence. Then a calm, clear voice echoed from the back of the room. "She was called because we didn't answer the call ourselves." Everyone turned. It was Thavax, the ancient tree-like being from the old empire. His roots moved slowly across the floor as he looked at the screen. "She came," Thavax said softly, "because no one else would." Meanwhile, on Calvex, survivors were rebuilding underground. Commander Vale walked through the ruined halls of the North Bunker. The Calvex people didn't cheer. They didn't thank her, they just stared. Some with fear, some with respect. One child pointed at her armor. "Are you a killer?" Vale looked at the child for a moment, then said softly, "Only when I must be." Back aboard the Starbreaker, Vale received a direct transmission from Earth. It was short text only. "Satellite for 1A destroyed. Ashburn presence detected near Saturn. Countdown to Earth invasion. 6 days. Activate protocol Eclipse as needed. Reinforcements unavailable. Hold Calvex." She closed the message and leaned back in her chair. 6 days. And the storm wasn't stopping. The Starbreaker's sensors buzzed. Again, new activity. 3 Council scout ships had arrived in the Calvex system. Without warning, they were keeping distance, scanning, watching. Vale opened a channel. "This is Commander Vale of Earth. State your purpose." A council voice answered. "Nervous. Observation. Only observation. Do not consider us hostile," she replied flatly. "Then stay out of our fire paths. This is not a show." On board one of the council ships, a young scout recorded everything. Had never seen a human vessel up close. He whispered to his captain, "Why do they build such terrifying ships?" The captain responded, "Because humans don't believe in second chances." They watched as the Starbreaker deployed surface shields on Calvex, forming massive glowing domes across the planet. Not just for defense, they were containment domes. Anything Ashburn buried underground would stay sealed. For now. In the deep black of space, the Ashburn Queen opened her eyes. Her throne glowed with swirling dark stars. The Starbreaker had humiliated her, and worse, it had resisted her scream. No other race had done that. No other ship had survived. She turned her gaze toward Earth, and she called the old ones ancient creatures, buried monsters, shadows left from before time had names. They answered her back. On Earth, in the deep sea base Omen 5, military analysts watched the growing Ashburn signals. Each marker was a dark red flame on the screen. One man whispered, "They're coming for us." Another replied, "We knew this day would come." The commander of Omen 5 turned to his team. "Send the command to Commander Vale. She must prepare to awaken IO protocol." Commander Vale was in the Starbreaker's memory chamber when the alert came. She placed her hand on the ancient core black crystal wired into the ship's soul. The ship spoke in her mind. IO protocol is locked. Warning, activating it will expose Earth's deepest assets. Vale nodded. "I don't care anymore. Unlock it." The signal left Calvex, traveled across deep space, past solar flares and silent moons. And on Jupiter's moon, Io, a mountain moved. A slab of metal rose from the ice. And from underneath, a second ship stirred. Not like the Starbreaker. This one was worse, a forgotten class, the kind never shown in human history. A planet-level reality. Editor, the EIDOLON. Council sensors detected it. Their AI flagged it with one word: impossible. In the chamber of Triver-1, the Council froze. "That ship violates the law of star chains." Someone whispered. Another added, "If it activates, it could erase entire timelines." No one argued, but no one moved to stop it, because even they understood that Ashburn didn't care about laws, and Earth had started to fight like them. Back on Calvex, the last seeds of the Ashburn activated. Monsters crawled out of the cracks, not ships, not machines, living echoes, half-formed beasts made of noise and bone, dragging memories behind them. The Calvex screamed. Their shields held. Barely. Vale stood on the ground for the first time, surrounded by a few soldiers she trusted. The creatures charged. She didn't run, she lifted her wrist. Starbreaker marked targets. Fire now. Above, the ship sent light down like thunder. Every monster turned into mist. The people of Calvex watched as Vale walked forward, dust settling around her, and for the first time they understood she wasn't a war hero. She was a reminder of what Earth used to be. And what Earth still was. In orbit, the Council ships slowly backed away. They didn't want to be near what was coming next. And in the dark between stars, the Ashburn Queen opened her mouth and swallowed. A sun. She grew. She changed, and the final wave began to rise. The stars shifted, not by light. Not by motion, but by fear. Something ancient was moving through the void, pulling shadows behind it like wings made of broken suns. The Ashburn Queen was no longer hiding. She had eaten a sun, and now she was coming. Not for Calvex, for Earth. In the dark command chamber of the Starbreaker, Commander Vale stood motionless. A 3D map floated in the air, showing the path of incoming Ashburn fleets. Not 1. Not 10. 70-3. All moving toward Sol System. She stared at the map. 73 fleets. She muttered, "It's not just an invasion, it's extinction." Earth Command sent a secure message. "Final confirmation. You are authorized to use Protocol Eclipse. All international vetoes are lifted. Council objections ignored. Proceed." Vale nodded slowly. This was it. No more waiting, no more warnings. She turned to the ship Starbreaker. "Unlock Eclipse Directive." The ship pulsed with quiet light. "Warning, Eclipse was never tested. It may rewrite gravitational fields. Collateral damage is likely." "I know," Vale whispered. The ship asked one last question. "Do you accept the loss of everything familiar?" "Yes." Deep within the ship, something unlocked. Not a weapon, not a missile. A book. Old. Real. Etched in light. The rulebook of the First War. The war before humanity joined the Council. Before they became peaceful. Before they agreed to forget who they once were. Inside this rulebook were tactics banned by every galactic treaty. Technologies labeled forbidden. Maneuvers so violent they could break star systems apart like eggshells. Humanity had locked it away after the First War. Now, Commander Vale opened it. Back on Calvex 9, Governor Reale stared at the sky. Ashburn's signals were rising again. Beneath the surface, even sealed zones were shaking. "Can you protect us again?" she asked over the channel. Vale answered calmly, "No." Silence, then Vale added, "I'm not here to protect anymore. I'm here to end it. The Starbreaker rose from Calvic's orbit. The people below watched it disappear into the clouds, stunned somehow. They understood. This was goodbye halfway to Earth. Vale activated the first of 3 eclipse nodes on space. 3 long black rods were ejected behind the ship. Each one glowed softly, then split into shimmering webs, floating devices that bent physics. They weren't weapons, they were unlaws machines that ignored the laws of nature. Where one node flew, time slowed. Where another passed, light changed direction. The 3rd node sent a pulse, and across the galaxy, the Ashburn fleets blinked. Some ships vanished mid-jump. Others crashed into each other. 2 entire fleets dropped into empty space, light years off course. The Queen screamed on Earth. The skies began to darken. The Ashburn were approaching Saturn. Massive black ships began tearing through space, their hulls dragging echoes of destroyed worlds behind them. Earth's defense grid came online. Old weapons, thought to be forgotten, lit up in orbit. Rail cannons, solar spears, EMP nets. None of it would be enough, unless Vale reached them first. Back on the Starbreaker, something changed. The ship was evolving. As the Eclipse protocol spread, the Starbreaker's hull shifted. It opened like a flower, revealing layers hidden for centuries. Weapons shaped like nothing known. Engines that burned fragments of time as fuel, and deep at the core, a mind. The ship spoke, but not as machine, as memory. Commander, I remember everything. I remember Earth's first scream, the wars we never admitted, the gods we killed and buried. Vale closed her eyes. Then you know what's coming. Yes, the Queen, the Unmaker, she's older than war. Vale turned her gaze forward. Then it's time we act like what we are. And what are we? She answered. The species that writes new rules. The Starbreaker reached the edge of the Sol system. The Queen was already there, and she had brought something new. Not a fleet, not ships, a black moon. It pulsed, not with power, but with grief. A weapon built from the memories of every race the Ashburn had erased. It was a scream, a world-sized scream, shaped like a moon. Vale scanned it. Her eyes widened. If that thing reaches Earth, it'll erase everything. Not kill, erase, as if Earth never existed. She activated the Starbreaker's final layer. The hull opened again, revealing something no ship should have. A Starforge engine. It didn't destroy. It rewrote. The Starbreaker dove toward the black moon. The Ashburn Queen opened her mouth, and for the first time, she spoke. Leave, or vanish like the rest. Vale answered. Earth doesn't vanish. Earth becomes legend. They collided, not with fire, but with reality. Time twisted, light reversed. Inside the clash, there was silence, then explosion. Not of energy, of possibility. The black moon broke apart. The Queen screamed, a sound heard across dozens of systems. She reached for Vale's mind. She tried to erase her name, but she failed because Vale had rewritten her own story before the battle. BEGANA. Memory shield. Born from the first rule. Only those who forget can be forgotten. And Vale remembered everything. The Queen began to fall apart. Not all at once, but slowly, as if her power no longer mattered. Because the galaxy was watching, because the rules had changed, because Earth had returned. The Council received the final signal. Ashburn Queen defeated. Memory moon destroyed. Starbreaker alive. Vale alive. Earth stands. Calvix cheered. The bunkers opened. Children ran into the sun on alien worlds far away. Species whispered the name Vale like a myth. And somewhere, deep in space, the Ashburn fled. Not all dead, but scattered, silent. Vale returned to Earth orbit. The ship damaged. Her body wounded. But her eyes calm. She opened her final message to Earth Command. Eclipse protocol complete. Ashburn repelled. But they're not the only threat. Unlock Vault Sigma. We have more to prepare. And then she sat down and finally, after all the death, she closed her eyes. The stars above Earth were no longer calm. They shimmered unnaturally. Some blinked out. Some moved without warning. Space twisted like it was alive. Everyone knew what was coming. The Ashburn were not defeated. They were angry, and they were bringing everything. Earth's skies turned red. At first, people thought it was sunset. Then the clouds cracked. From the orbiting satellites came a chilling report. Anomaly detected. Multiple dark signals approaching. Mass Metaclass. Arrival in 6 hours. It wasn't just a fleet, it was a wave. In underground bunkers, Earth's hidden commanders gathered. These weren't politicians, they were the last leaders of the Silent Defense Pact, an organization created long ago, before Earth joined the Council. Woman named Director Kale stood over the HOLO map. She pointed at a blinking symbol near Mars. That's where they'll break through, she said. Our orbital cannons won't hold. Do we evacuate? Someone asked. Kale didn't blink. There's nowhere left to run. Above, the Starbreaker hung in high orbit, scarred from its battle with the Ashburn Queen, but still alive. Commander. Vale sat in her seat, breathing slow. She had one last message from Earth Command. This is not a defense mission. This is the final stand. She replied simply. Understood. From deep space, the Ashburn came. Massive living ships. Shadow. Creatures, fleets shaped like bones and black flame. And at the center of it all, something worse. A world engine, not a weapon, but a machine that rewrites reality as it passes, where it moves. Cities disappear. Oceans dry. Mountains flatten. Memories fade. Vale stared at the screen. It's a Mayan killer, she said. Starbreaker's AI replied, confirmed. If it reaches Earth's surface, history will bend. Then we don't let it land. Earth activated Project Tempest. Above the planet, 6 old war satellites unfolded for the first time in 300 years. They weren't like the others. These weren't for defense. These weren't for vengeance. Each one charged with artificial black holes, dangerous, unstable. Their power had been banned by every galactic treaty. Now, they were Earth's last hope. That the Ashburn fleet hit first. The sky turned to fire. Over Paris, ships rained like burning glass. Over Mumbai, time itself paused for 3 seconds, then snapped back in the Atlantic. A tear, in reality, opened and swallowed part of the ocean, but Earth did not break. Cities activated shields, buried under concrete. Drones flew up from underground silos. Laser webs sliced across the sky, and everywhere, on rooftops, in bunkers, on mountains, humans fought back. Not just soldiers. Everyone, because this was their planet, their home, and Earth had a secret weapon no data could measure. Rage. The Starbreaker fired a single beam of light, crossed space, and 3 Ashburn ships ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris. Just silence. Then more beams. Then a blast of gravitational distortion. Dozens of Ashburn vessels collapsed inward like crushed cans. The fleet staggered, but they kept coming. The world engine reached Earth's moon. Its gravity pulse shattered ancient structures. Even the hidden labs beneath Luna crumbled. Vale's hand shook. If it hits Earth, human history ends. The Starbreaker's AI offered one choice. Collide. Use core, self-destruct, cancel reality field. Vale stood slowly. Is that the only way? It is the surest. She sent a message to Earth. I am initiating protocol, end flame. I may not return. Director Kale's reply was short. Do what you must. Earth endures. The Starbreaker moved. Faster than light. Straight at the world engine. Alarms blared. The ship shook. The engines bled white energy pieces of a dying star, tearing space behind them. Vale opened the ship's memory core. Images of Earth green fields, rainstorms, oceans played in silence. She closed her eyes. Let this be enough. Impact. The Starbreaker slammed into the world engine. Not with fire, with collapse. The 2 machines folded into each other, then vanished all across the sky. Ashburn ships froze. Some screamed. Some cracked apart. Others turned to dust, and in space, a light shined brighter than anything Earth had ever seen. Then darkness. For 10 seconds, all systems on Earth went dead. No power, no heat, only silence. Then the lights came back. The air returned. The sun rose, and the Ashburn were gone. On Earth, people climbed out from shelters. They saw the empty sky. They cried. They screamed. They hugged. They remembered. But far in orbit, a small escape pod floated. Inside, barely breathing. Commander Vale. Alive. Rescued by the IO protocol ship, the Idalan. Her last words before blacking out. Is Earth safe? A voice from the pod answered gently. Yes, Commander. Earth stands. In the weeks that followed, humanity rebuilt. Council ships arrived too late to help. They offered peace. Support. Apologies. But Earth remembered their silence, and Earth didn't answer in the secret vaults below Antarctica. Director Kale stood over a map. She tapped a flashing. Another Ashburn signal. Weak. Distant. But real. We're not done, she whispered. Wake the rest. Because the galaxy had forgotten what humans were capable of. But now, they would never forget again. The galaxy held its breath. The war was over. The Ashburn were gone. Or scattered so far they would never threaten again. But something had changed. Not just on Earth, everywhere. On the edge of the old trade routes, pirate clans stopped ambushing. Ships, on council worlds, patrol fleets quietly doubled in size. Even ancient empires, hidden behind gas giants and black holes, adjusted their maps. Why? Because of one name, one ship, one species. Earth. In a quiet medical bay aboard the Eidolon, Commander Vale lay in a recovery pod. Her eyes opened slowly. She was alive, but her ship, the Starbreaker, was gone, burned into history. Still, her voice was strong when she asked the first question. Did it work? The doctor nodded. Double quotes, the world engine is gone. Earth stands. Vale closed her eyes. Then we keep moving. Across Earth, life returned. Crops grew again. Skies cleared. Cities rebuilt faster than ever. Fueled by unity never seen before. And in that unity, something else was born. Pride. For too long, humans had followed the Council's rules, stayed quiet, let others lead. But now, Earth stood at the center of everything. Not by vote, not by force, by respect. In the old council chamber on Trivawan, the mood had changed. The ambassador from Sartha, once so bold, now lowered his voice when speaking of Earth. The crystalline archivists quietly added Starbreaker to the protected list of historical technologies no longer banned, but recorded. And Thavax, the ancient tribune, stood before the room and said, "Let it be known that Earth did not ask to lead, but they earned it anyway." The chamber was silent. No one disagreed. Back on Earth, in a meeting room beneath MTL, Bruce Director Kale reviewed the latest reports. Ashburn ruins had been found on 4 distant moons. Faint signals, old code, still dangerous. She turned to the screen where Vale now stood, healed and dressed in black command armor. "Are you sure you want to go back out there?" Kale asked. Vale didn't hesitate. "Yes," Kale nodded. "Then take the new fleet." From Earth's skydocks, a new ship rose, larger than the STAR, BREAKER. Faster, stronger, but carrying the same soul. Its name blinked in white letters across the hull. Starbreaker 2, Legacy. Inside, Vale took her seat again. She whispered to the ship, "Let's write the next chapter." The ship responded, "Together." But the galaxy wasn't quiet yet. From a dark region near the galactic edge, a message was received on encrypted, fragmented, ancient. Vale decoded it. One line appeared on her screen. "They were not the first. The ones who made the Ashburn are waking." She looked to her new crew, humans and aliens alike, trained under Earth's new command system. Her voice was clear. "We saved Earth, now we save everything else." The fleet behind her moved into formation. 7 ships, all forged with Eclipse tech, powered by pieces of the original Starbreaker's memory core. They jumped into the stars. Centuries later, children across the galaxy would grow up learning Earth's story. They would know of KALVX-9. Of the Silent War, of the Memory Moon and the World Engine. But more than anything, they would know of one human who stood alone in the dark and reminded the stars, "We are from Earth, we are Deathworlders, we remember everything, and we bow to no one." A quiet message traveled through deep space. No scream, no warning, just 3 words, repeated forever: "We remember you." It was not a human message. It came from a system long thought dead, Marneth, a forgotten world swallowed by the Ashburn, 200 years ago. But the signal was real, and it was new. Inside the bridge of Starbreaker 2, Commander Vale listened to the pulse. Her eyes narrowed. Marneth was destroyed. Nothing lived there. The ship scanned the signal. Confirmed. Signal origin is below Marneth's surface. Transmission technology is unknown. Composition, organic. Vale stood still. Organic. "Then it's not a machine," the ship replied. "It's a survivor." The Council begged Earth not to go. This could be a trap. One ambassador warned. "The war is over." Another argued, but Vale had seen too much silence used as cover. She spoke to Director Kale via secure channel. "If even one voice still echoes from a grave, I will answer." Kale only said one word: "Go." The fleet moved. 7 human ships. All built after the Ashburn War, all forged from pain. They arrived near Marneth's dead orbit. The planet spun slowly. No lights, no cities, no life, until the pulse came again. "We remember you." This time, it added something else. "But do you remember us?" Vale landed with a team of 6. The atmosphere was thin. The surface burned from old scars, traces of the war that had ended the world. They followed the signal deep into a canyon. Beneath the stone, they found it. A temple. Old, human-built. Vale stared, in shock. This was ours. One of her team scanned the stone. It's pre-council tech. This temple was built before Earth joined the galaxy, over 300 years ago, but Earth never colonized Marneth. Another said. The data disagreed. Into the wall were ancient Terran symbols. A single line stood out: "When the stars forget, bury truth in silence." Inside the temple, they found a vault. It wasn't locked. It wasn't locked. It was waiting. Inside was a stasis pod, flickering. Alive. The pod opened. Inside was a human. Old gray. Eyes full of history. He looked up and whispered, "Did Earth win?" Vale stepped forward. "Yes, but it cost us everything." The man nodded, then said, "Then they'll come next." Confused, Vale asked, "Who?" The man smiled sadly. "The ones before the Ashburn." His name was Dr. Ilan Quarter, a lead scientist from Earth's secret colony program that had gone silent centuries ago. He told a story no one remembered. Before the Ashburn, there were the formless beings who built species like tools. The Ashburn were one of their projects, but the Ashburn rebelled, destroyed them, or so everyone believed. Dr. Quarter shook his head. "No, they hid." He handed Vale a small crystal, a map. Not to a place, but a warning. A list of systems already infected. One of them was Earth's moon. Vale activated her comms. Director Kale scanned Luna immediately. Deep crust level. Look for dormant non-tech. There was silence. Then Kale replied, "We just found something. Deep inside Shackleton crater." The temple began to shake. The signal pulse grew louder. Something was waking. Vale turned to her team back to the ship. Now, they ran. Behind them. The temple collapsed, not with explosions, but with a shriek of static. Whatever had hidden below was now free, back in space. Vale returned to Starbreaker 2. She loaded the crystal into the core. The map unfolded. Thousands of red marks. Vale stared. All these systems, already touched by the formers. The ship replied, "Yes, their influence spread farther than the Ashburn." Vale stood still. The war wasn't over, it had only changed shape. On Earth, alarms sounded. Luna's crust cracked from deep below. A structure rose smooth, perfect, humming with power. Not ash-born. Not human. Something else. Director Kale ordered the fleet to orbit. Vale contacted her. "We have a choice. Seal it, or enter." Kale paused, then replied, "We're done sealing things. If they left messages for us, let's read them." Starbreaker 2 moved. The fleet surrounded Luna's hidden spire. As Vale approached it in a shuttle, the spire opened. Inside was light. Memories. Worlds. Stories left behind by a race so old, even the stars called them myths. A voice echoed in her mind. "You have passed the first test. You stopped our mistake. Now learn why we made it." The message ended. The light faded. And Earth had a decision to make. Learn the secrets of the ones who created the Ashburn, or destroy every trace. Vale stood at the edge of that knowledge. She had been a weapon, then a protector. Now she was a witness. She looked at the stars and said, "We came to answer a cry for help, but what we found was a galaxy filled with scars, and we are not done healing it." The new legacy of Earth would not be just war, it would be understanding. But if war came again, the stars knew who would answer first. Final transmission. This is Earth Command. We remember Calvex, we remember the Ashburn, and now we remember what came before. If you are listening, know this: we are from Earth, we came in peace, but we do not fear war.